I start adding what is called structural water in the area.
As part of the burn process, which agriculturists, farmers never understood, when you burn the end of the harvest, you feed nanomaterial to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it works. The burning, you absorb nitrogen for the next cycle.
Yeah, but here at this point, nobody does that anymore. You know,
Yeah.
they're pushing the fertilizers, and the land don't produce it, or you don't put fertilizers. You know.
Yeah, but this, I understand that. Carry on, just learning.
Okay.
Just
all right.
because we've done some experiments in the background.
I just wanted to confirm and get some tips, you know, for my next research. Because first, like I said, my intention wasn't to go to a really detailed development of a project. You know, it was curiosity from the beginning to see what will happen, and I didn't put the protocols of a project, you know, for to experiment. It wasn't done at that level. I wanted to see just, like I said, let's get this corn. This corn was the one that was shared in from the area from South Mexico, that they use this to make tortillas, and they make all kind of things with us. And I wanted to see, to acclimatize those corns to my area. That was the first purpose, you know, in the whole project that I was doing. I want to create a bank of seeds that will give a to my own power to have the control of those seeds that will be organic and not GMO, not contaminated, you know, and grown in the best open pollinated situation that will have a good, you know, good seed that will create a good density product, a lettuce that will grow really full of nutrients, you know. That was my idea in the whole thing. And I have all kind of, you know, like these were only the corns. I've been collecting all kind of seeds. Now that the materials are in the ground, I'm watching how those seeds behave in the next growing seasons. But I already have the seeds, and I'm selecting the seeds to be used, especially with the with the water, and creating the permanent fertilizers. As I said, as soon as the idea of creating this shield of protection, you know, putting the rains to see if we can protect the plants against the cold and the heat, you know, I start creating and later in the photos you will see some PVC pipes across that I'm doing like
you're creating a non-visible greenhouse. In a way.
A non-visible greenhouse with PVC pipes, where the water, the GANS water, is going to be there in those areas, but in the same spot you see where I was putting the nanomaterials, I'm putting a small tube that will circulate the GANS around the whole plot and being circulated, plus being the nanomaterials already over there. My idea that will also be a shield, but this hasn't been activated in this phase. It's going to be activated in my third phase. I'm going to be putting the permanent fertilizers. The nanomaterials are going to be circulating in this PVC.
I think I can give you a tip because I've done something with this. Nano coat your tubes. They become permanent fertilizers.
Okay.
But don't use a high pressure water. Use a very low pressure water, and place to place change your pipes. Like if you can add a small piece of metal pipe, a copper pipe, a plastic pipe, and nano coat all of them. Okay. Then you
inside
get pardon?
Inside and out?
Inside and out, yeah, because your energy goes through the water. Huh? When the water passes, you have to use a very low speed, like a human stomach, to absorb as much energy as possible. So if you are watering, let's say, 2 hours a day, or 5 minutes an hour, every hour, water quarter of an hour at a lower speed, but the same amount, that the water can absorb the energy of the nano coated in the pipe. And one of the things which I think might help you is try to multiple different materials. This nano coating will help you in a way you don't need to produce introduce GANS into it. The reason for it is the nano material inside the pipe will energize the water, and the nano coating outside the pipe with the salt of the land and the rain will create the GANS in the water. So you go two ways, you do both at the same time.
Okay, and the water that is the water that is going to irrigate those plants. For example, the one that you see here is a water that comes from my water reservoir that I put a timer for this to release the water. If I nanocoat that big pipe, you know, and the water is going to be energized and changed. I have a nanomaterials here, as you see here. This is
sticking out.
Aluminum wire. In some areas I put copper wires, in some areas I put zinc wires, and I did different combinations, you know, for each plant to be. And I observe after 1 year that those materials, they keep the nanocoating thing. The copper wires were still black. They didn't oxidize. They kept the nanocoated look. The same thing with this aluminum wire. It is still white and it didn't dissolve, you know, into the field.
Okay.
That's one of the things that I observed. Even the zinc mesh that were nanocoated that put in around the root, they're still intact as they were nanocoated when I took them out from the container. And that's what I'm being kind of recording those details. This is the chili peppers that were burned on 2014. That was the size when the idea came from the Mexican group to do these little tubes with GANS, and I start replicating the process. And that's what I have at least for 2415. These areas, these plants are so huge that some of them put so many stalks, and some of them they fell back in the sides of so many, you know, and I have to tie them, you know, in a way that they will get stronger because I cut them to the bottom, you know. They were not the original plant; they had the same strength, you know. They were almost little some branches, you know, new branches. And I had to take care of this time. And this time, these are really very huge, you know. And that I have in the videos, the picture. I wasn't able to put that picture in the workshop for you to see how tall they are. They are so huge.
Can we have a look at it?
And the videos, yeah, I don't have I have the videos on my tablet, and I don't have a way to run the videos and that you can see them.
Is it part of the pictures that I was sent? I was sent like...
Yeah, there are some, but not this plant that you see here at the same spot. I have the videos with the whole patch. This, you see them very small, and the patch this is a huge. The plants are so huge right there, you know. As I left a few days ago the farm, these were already producing the peppers, and they were flowering a lot, and they were every time more heavy with the load of the peppers. Sometimes they were just.
Can I ask a question? This brings me to a very vital question. And as you are trained or you've done your education back in biochemistry and alternative, what I call herbal medicine or whatever you explained to us.
Mm-hmm.
This brings a very big question mark. Maybe you have thought about it, maybe you haven't, maybe we have to look. Does this mean going with me, I never look at the physical appearance. I look what's inside it, what brings about. Can we, in an indirect way, say that we are using, like, for example, let me go back to explain to you where I'm coming from. Now we see results from China. Hopefully we have Carly to explain to us a little bit more if he wants to. That have we come to a point with humanity that we can create, like the crop you have, that they carry the healing material inside them. Because if they carry, if we are using, for example, CO2 GANS it's getting used in the pens to release pain. We are using CO2 nano, what do you call it, copper nano coated to eradicate cancer. The way it's getting used, reducing tumor, which is getting used by the past. Have we come to the point, maybe with your research, that we can produce plants using CO2 GANs or whatever other GANSes that they are by nature medical herbs, and we can eradicate all the diseases just by growing the plant, by eating the chili pepper, which carries the information or the energy of the CO2 which is embedded in it, which you have changed it by watering it. Have we produced, or are we producing medicine plants for every cure? So you're an expert, you're educated in that field.
Well, with the
on the verge of that side.
Well, I've been thinking about those in the philosophy that is used around in the permaculture areas. You know, people walk barefooted when they are doing the prepping of the land. You're already putting part of your vibration for the plants to give you what you need. Your sweat, your liquids will give information to the plant in that way to have a plant that will give you what you need. If you are, because the connection between you, the ground, and the area is a synergy in working with this. It's not just mechanically that you come in and put stuff, you know. There is a connection that happens right there too. That's my belief, you know, in this.
No, what I'm trying to get at is that now in Mexico, you're developing, you've done this, you're using the material. Have you seen any changes as you've been consuming the harvest with you and your family and the people around your area? Have you seen any changes in the health of your people? Less cold, much stronger, serene behavior? Do we have you reached the point of the harvest creates the psychological and physical effects which can be done without consuming the material? Well, can we sell happy, as I call happy chilies?
All right, I haven't got to the extent of really measuring or observing those, because this last year was my first trials with the harvest, those chili peppers that I still have, and I have shared with the after I dry them, still I'm consuming those, you know. And
do you feel any different yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I feel I never get sick in that sense. I don't have the attacks of the cold or things, you know. I feel more energy.
Did you used to have?
Yeah, I mean, I feel different before, you know. I saw that I feel less hunger, you know. Just be eating a few of them, because everything that I have over there, I just go and take a few leaves of everything and make my own salad. Just from that moment, go and cut what I need for my salad. It probably is already giving me the enough energy just to keep going in my experiments, you know, and doing the labor.
No, I'm trying to go back and trying to put some rational thinking into this. Let's say, let's say that you, your families, your friends around, do they see such a change? Do you see such a change that they get less sick?
I mean, they have, the ones who have taken, and they were part of helping me to harvest, and they are also partaking of those GANS. They feel that they feel better. And like I said, I had to double check with them what else, if they know any difference. You know, I haven't done that research with them. My idea wasn't more focusing
yeah, but sometimes I understand, but I'm just trying to see if something has been observed in that direction.
Yeah, what I have observed just in the area after I start putting nanomaterials and the reactors, Starship reactors in my land, this year was one of the years we had the most water in the aquifers that the year before we didn't have any water in the wells. There was a problem. I wasn't even being part of some research, you know, of checking the wells and any water. There was no water there. And this time we have water almost for 20 years from now on, from the water that came. I don't know if because I start bringing that frequency of the reactors in the area and started bringing more rain. I don't know if there was.
Well, you're running reactors on the site as well?
Yeah, I'm doing the Starship reactors. I start doing.
How many of them?
I have one that I began working with them, and I have a small reactors. You know, that I have one little reactor that is in my windmill. That is turning, as the wind comes, it turns the reactor right there all the time. And I do have, from some time, I have my Starship reactor just working in the farm, 24 hours. They've been activated with a solar panel, with little fans, you know, the first one that I did was with little, the fan from the computers. And I put the ping pong balls in the cups of the Coca-Cola bottle, and I glued them to the motor and start, you know, activating that.
Rick, work reaches parts you can never think, Rick, huh? Ping pong balls are going a long way.
And that happened because of Rick, you know, when I saw the first thing.
Yes. Yeah. I was talking today, there's an advertising it used to be in English television about the Heineken beer. We were talking about it last night. And it says, Heineken reaches the part that no other beer can reach. I think this goes with Rick's balls. Ping pong ball reaches parts.
In a way, they came from China and they have returned back to China too. So it's been all around the world.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a simple idea, but effective.
Yeah, like I said, I have those reactors working since the year. I don't know if that also helped with the environment. I'm doing some kind of other experiments right there, energy experiments regarding rain, you know, and cleaning the area from, you know, toxic materials. And I don't know if that was part of what is called the Nino or the Niña effect. You know, every year, you know, when you come these changes of climate, now we have so much water that we didn't have the past years. I don't know, I don't want to say that it was part because I put a reactor there. Probably was, I don't know. Have you seen any other people who doubt those reactors that the area changed?
What, is it just your area or is it the other areas in Brazil?
I don't know, that is, I was asking if somebody has had an experience on the areas, if they have a change, if there is a change of weather or things in their areas after they start.
No, I mean, no. Put it this way, you have your local area in Brazil where you use
Mexico,
it. In Mexico, sorry. In Mexico, yeah. Let's go 2 kilometers down the road, 5 kilometers down the road. Is it the same with everybody, or is it just with you which increased the water?
I mean, the river from there, it went around the area. Yes, the river just came alive again after this year. Water was not even in the river. Now is one of the attractions over there, the water. You know, going there in the options and just jump into the water. And it didn't happen the years before. It was completely dry. And now we have a lot of water with these rains that we got, you know. It seems like the water just came out from the ground this time. And that's the reason I was asking if anybody had any observations with the reactors being run in the areas, if the weather had changed or not, you know. I'm just myself, you know, observing here these conditions of what's happening in this area.
Can we have a look at some of your the harvests?
I don't know. Right here is one of the corns that these ones grew up to, let's say, 13, 14 feet tall. These are very tall. This one is the one in the left from the top going in the left side. That's the one that was pointed to me the way how they grow in the area with this person in Colima. They know the ones that I have. They have also. These were not the biggest one that I have. Only these are the ones that's still growing there right now. And one of these specimens, that's the one that have twin cones and triplets, and they have different things showing in them. That's what I start, you know, you can see in the right side, you see the corns. Some ones are in trees and some ones are twin corns. What I mean, two corns in one corn growing. And you see one coming from the side and the other one is inside. I didn't want to open those. I want to see I want to observe how they develop. And at the end of the harvest, see what's there. And the other ones too, you know, because the condition, you can see this one was measuring 15 feet tall after they were so huge that they were holding themselves in the branches of the mesquites. A lot of the harvest, I lost a lot of the parcel I was growing because they were so tall that the wings, they were breaking in half. And I lost a lot of the research from there because, you know, I put them too close thinking that nitrogen produced by these nanomaterials would be enough, and I didn't feed anything as a regular, you know, working. I didn't work the land as the people do when they grow corn. I just want to observe at these conditions what I'm getting. And this one, where I'm standing there, all of them grew an average of 13 and a half. The biggest one, 15, that I'm measuring.
Well, what's the normal size height?
The normal size over there, I mean, for those one, I didn't know until this person told me it's about 3 meters, it's about 10 feet around that area, 3 meters tall. Some of them, the varieties. And I didn't.
But the number of corns, according to your man, is it the same number?
No, they say they only grow 2. There.
Two corns altogether.
2 corns in the plant, one in one side and one in the other side of the plant.
How many corns do you observe on the ones you're growing?
Well, the specimens that I'm watching right now, developing, some of them, like you said, if you run the videos up, you will see some corns are, even in the archive of pictures that I sent you, there are corns that have, for example, this is developing 4. This is developing 3, and I have other one developing 7 clusters. And they are.
Do you think all of them will come to be able
to produce a seed? I don't know. I just cut one that has a little one and another big one, and that one was already producing seeds inside.
So the harvest grows. This is what we've seen with the wheat grow here in Europe, with the increased numbers. So what it is you're confirming, irrespective of seed, we can grow the same increase in harvest.
Yeah, like it's here, you see a clustered corn. And I have, you know, other ones that 3 corns of 7 corns, the one that I have taken apart in the pictures, there were 7 corns, and later we call bastard corns, that sometimes they take energy from the other corn. But I say, if I want to put this nanomaterial, probably they will have enough thing to grow. And now I'm observing those things that I'm going to see how many plants are developing these characteristics, you know, and they're.
But are you supporting them with the GANS that they can have?
No, I didn't want to do that. I want to do that in the 3rd phase of the.
Okay.
That's the reason why I let it go with this condition. This has 3 corns, 1 in the center, and it has 2 more here, growing kind of strong. You can see there are.
This is abnormal growth.
Yeah, for those people who were the guy who told me this, I never see this growing corn in that way in the cornfields that I've been working in my area of Colima. And then I said, well, and this is something is doing here, something's happening. I don't know if it because I put these seeds to in the plasmatic soaking for a week. You know, I put these seeds already in the tray, in a double wall tray with all the GANS. And I don't know if that was part of the whole thing I'm observing. That's the reason I wanted to share it. And I did, in the beginning, start seeing plants that were growing like grass. You know, corn, one seed of corn, it will produce up to 4 things in the side. And I lost some of those plants because I wasn't careful, you know, the dogs going through there and cut little branches. They didn't.
Somehow dogs get attracted to these plants.
Yeah.
My son was growing these in England, and the dog kept on going and eating it, and it kept on growing. And we couldn't understand why the dog is going to keep on eating the wheat, because if you remember 4 or 5 years ago, we see the seed experiment in 7 locations around the world, and our third son was growing it in Manchester, and the dog kept on eating it, and it was growing. It kept on until he actually uprooted the seed. The plant keeps on growing, and animals somehow find the energy they need from this plant. It's very strange.
Yeah, like I said, here just are a few of them that not only I recorded the size that they grew, but the anomalies that, like I say, in one of my spots where I was planting the in the first slice, I have some corn growing in phases over there. I call them phases. The first phase was already harvested, and that's the one I'm using for my third phase for the August planting that is already growing. I'm using that. I want to create conditions different to the ones that I did this time, putting the GANS and giving more care to the plants, more dirt, you know, for them to stand in the ground, not to be thrown by the.
But did you see any change in harvest from the first phase to the second phase?
I mean, the second phase is going. That's what you see right now. This is the second phase of the first phase, where the color corns, that was a different variety. In the second phase,
David, I think Rick in Canada wants to say something.
Excuse me, do you want me to show? I'm kind of going backwards now, but I skipped a part because we jumped forward. So do you want me to go back to a certain point in your presentation, or should we just continue?
Just go back up. The way you're going is perfect, Rick.
Okay. Well,
it's okay. We come back to the same circle.
Thank you.
Keep going back up the way you're going.
So you go back up. I can talk about here. Okay, right here. These are the second phase of my growing. These ones you see in the left side is because I am planting by month. What I say, every month I'm putting seeds to see which ones in which month they produce the most. Those ones, you see the tallest ones, those were the after I did the harvest of my first cycle of the
ones we see in the background, yeah, the tallest one,
the colored ones, and that was the one, the second spot that I planted. Behind this, next month I planted the ones you see in the left corner. Now in the other ones, those are these ones, the tallest one were planted at the same time that the tallest one that you see in every picture. They were planted the same date. These were planted a month later, and in that way I could see in different areas the different characteristics. They will show here the same thing that they show there, because every time that I planted, I threw the nanomaterials in the ground, and I put the microorganisms with the seed and the GANS, one spray only in the seed at the moment of planting, and after that was only irrigation with the water that I have there.
You don't fertilize the seeds anymore.
I don't.
Just the first time. You don't use any fertilizer at all?
No, I don't use any fertilizers. Like I said, right there is just what the conditions of the ground have. And I just water them. And whatever bushes I cut, I just put it in the ground, just to create some more organic matter. And one of my mistakes that I lose so many of those plants that they could grow thicker and more produce was that I didn't do the adding of the ground because they develop some kind of branches that they hold into the ground for the plants not to be swayed back and forth, not to be thrown by the wind. Some of them, they will develop these branches that they throw. They throw a branch, it goes to the ground and penetrates the ground, and that's how the plant holds itself to the ground. I didn't give that kind of protection to these plants, and some of them, they fell. Just with any wind, it would throw them down, That was part of my learning. But in my next phase, I'm giving more space of separation to the same kind of varieties and watch this time the results. But I did learn because all these things I started observing, I started saying, okay, now I'm getting this. I want to see if this repeats again in my next experiment. The ones that are behind the next month, the month before, And I'm recording. It's an ongoing research that I'm doing at the moment with the observations and taking the data collection that I'm doing.
Can I ask you a question? I've seen your things, and what I tell you, I've thought about it very carefully, what I'm putting to you. Would you like to take the flagship of the agriculture and work with the other people who want to grow material around the foundation with us?
Well, first, that's I'm doing this. First, that's what I'm collaborating with this information. That's what I was trying to get more tips from you, and if a project will come, I'll be willing to be part of it.
Yeah, because the foundation, Rick can tell you more about the community we're setting up. Would you like to explain that, Rick? That how they work in the community? Maybe we can set up the agriculture community that they can work, and David can be part of the heading that side.
Oh, sure, yes. We have a groups setting in the community.keshefoundation.org new website. And there's other ways that people can communicate as well. You can have movies that are easily accessible and other information. And then also you can have the people that you want to work with more closely can be part of certain groups that have, it's more of a private group rather than in the public there. It'll be a great area for community and for building up community within the Keshe family, Keshe Foundation family. So, yeah, we'll have that underway over the next week or two. It'll be more and more populated, and you're going to find, I really like it there. I think it's a great format for people. So, major problem here. Let me see
what's the major problem.
Just interference on the Enrique. I'm gonna mute you, Enrique.
Can you speak a bit louder, please?
Oh, sorry. There's just some interference there from some microphones, so I had to mute it. There we go.
Okay.
All right, like I said, I'm continuing with the observing my next phase, of where I want to be creating different conditions this time. This time, like I said, one of the things, because now with the water units creating, I want a self-watering system, that I don't have to put in water, like the idea of the loops with the dripping the water in the garden, I was trying in my mesh. There is a photo over there where there are some PVC pipes in the ground where I'm growing this. I'm putting this mesh, but I was thinking putting the waters. Now I wanted to put in that mesh those wires, nanocodes, to see if those will be a self-watering system that it will give water to the plants too, in case that I don't, create more water for the plants. I was trying to add that info into my research, you know. Start doing a lot of infinite loops and start putting across my the areas where the corn is growing and see how they do, you know. That was part, but the one I'm really activating, this were one of the organic basket that I grew, the broccoli and I was selling for people. And the lettuce will last outside even for days without wither. You know, they will still stay strong. And those will last longer just with the effects.
Have you consumed these?
Yeah, all these were consumed. You know, I sold them in the city. I have a lot of seeds that I harvest from the cauliflower, and from this I have a bank of seeds. All these lettuce that you see, I harvest almost 3 kilos of seeds from just lettuce from the ones that I grew. You know,
Is that a normal harvesting value, or is it something?
Well, for me, it was the first trial. I didn't know, you know, who harvests seeds. You know, I don't have the data of how many, you know, pounds they collect when they do the harvest. I just did let go some of this to seed and harvest seeds. You know, that was the purpose, creating a seed bank with this technology, and keep the seed apart from others and give it to friends that are working in their own house gardens to use those seeds and to see what they observe. You know, I'm trying just getting a recollection of every seed that I have. I'm selecting them that they were grown with this, you know, materials. And keep.
What we noticed is that when you grow seeds in the pot, than when you grow the seeds in the ground using the GANS, is totally two different behaviors. Do you see the same?
Well, because I always grow in the ground, and I wasn't growing in pots, you know, like other people in their houses. The setup right now is to be grown in an open field, you know, situation, not in the community garden where people just bring buckets and grow everything in buckets because of the space, or hanging baskets, you know. I haven't done those experiments if they behave the same or not. But these broccolis, they grow so big. Here's one of the way how I did the soaking. I got the seeds and put it in this double wall container with the GANS of CO2, copper oxide, and CH3, and the amino acid waters that I mix into the container. And that has been my device for soaking seeds. Other than, yes, I put them some on GANS. And CO2, here I'm spraying a mixture of CH3 GANS and CO GANS, copper oxide GANS. This time, just in case that I want to protect some plagues, some fungus or whatever, I'm putting this together to a mixture of the microorganisms here in this, spraying the two together to create a synergy to help the plants, you know. And that's what I was trying to, you know, for the just for the lettuce. I haven't done any, like you say, just to put the thing from the copper things will have the land too, you know. I want to be trying to use the spraying with the water containing these things, you know. And that will be part of the third.
Do you see the duration of soaking having an effect on the seed growth? Or mutation of the seed as we have?
Well, I observed the mutations of those plants because, I mean, for me, it was new because this were seeds from, I didn't have the experience of those seeds as a trial because these were new for this area. We never grow these seeds here in this area. For me, the mission was to see if those seeds will grow here and adapt them. And I did harvest, 9 varieties of these seeds that you see there. These were the originals given to me. And I put, different plants because I didn't have so many seeds. I have to be selected in my areas where I was growing those testing plots. And from those plants, those are the ones that I harvest the seeds, and I now have in the background in another spot growing them. They are already 1 foot high right now at this point. They're already growing. Now they're waiting for next week to start just giving the first prepping for the water, giving some ground for them to be stronger. I know they are going to be stronger this time with better conditions. I want to harvest more seeds, but I will have already a seed that already grew in my land, and it's going to be growing the second time with the.
Those are familiar containers and colors in the background.
Yeah.
Red and brown and yeah.
Yes,
okay.
This is my germinating bed in the back in the left side.
Are there any questions on the people on the panel you want to ask?
Yes, Mr. Keshe. Enrique Santoyo. I would like to tell you that David is a great man, and he is part of the group of agriculture and gardening in the group of Latin America. He has joined us. There's a group that's growing. It's about 8 to 10 people by now. And they are in different parts of Mexico with different environments and different approaches. And we plan to have an interchange and learn from him. He's really a wise man in this.
So Mexico Keshe Foundation is becoming agricultural one. I think because we got to link you up with the Chinese.
Okay.
Somehow in the community room we have to bring you a lot because you're both sides very adventurous.
But we don't need the collaboration of different areas of Mexico because I'm just in a region that is completely different conditions to another regions. We need to gather info in different spots.
Locations around the world. We have to. It's part of this
the country of Mexico too. Because everything will have different things. Some areas will have too much water.
It's not just Mexico. We have people from Chile. And we have people from Colombia also interested in the...
Strange, Colombia Keshe Foundation is becoming very, very prominent. Yeah, very active. I've seen them around. Colombians are becoming active.
Yeah. Our next presentation will be with Sergio from Colombia, the director of the group. And it's also about, it's simpler. It's about making GANS for agriculture also. Yes, Colombia is...
Does any of the groups of the people who are using this material report any anomalies, anything different in the consumption or in behavior? Or is it part of the natural process we see?
Okay, we will watch for that. We will
you have to ask because because we are not getting anything at the moment out of the Chinese agriculture side. Hopefully they'll come with us and explain to us more. But as you have more direct groups in 3 or 4 Latin Americans, Keshe Foundations, if you can give us an overall look of how is the health of the people, because you lot have started consuming, so you have passed the border of any what I call nonsense which has been spreading around. So what will be interesting is to see, my God, these are bushes more than trees.
Those are the ones that are growing with the nanomaterials, right?
Yeah. What will be interesting to see is if Latin America can teach us, at least explain to us, do we see by the consumption of these materials, like you said, your health, you don't catch cold or whatever, do we see psychological changes, do we see physical changes in health? Do we see changes in the skin? Do we see changes in diet, habit of eating? Like you said, you eat less. We got to expand this now that you lot are involved, because agriculture side is one of the major parts of the whole operation of the application of the GANS.
There's a question here about pests as well on the live stream. How does the GANS affect pests? Is there any data on that?
Are you using any pesticides?
No.
Have you seen any difference in the use of pesticides?
My idea here was to use the copper GANS, you know, as a way to control any situation like that. And if the plant is having the strong forces in field, the plant won't create the condition for the insects to come and try to eat them, you know. It will be strong, it will repel the plants.
Yeah, but what I see on the left-hand picture on this, maybe it's the wrong picture, but we see leaves with a lot of holes in it at the bottom.
Oh, no, this is one of the plants that is growing, and there was already harvest. And when you harvest, you cut a lot of leaves when you are cutting the peppers. Sometimes they thin themselves and they throw new flowers. Every time that you cut more, they grow more.
No, but we see holes and patches on the leaves at the bottom.
In between here, in
on
the
the
left side.
left-hand picture, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the plants that. No, these are like grass. Sometimes it was grass grown in between, and this plant wasn't developing. Just remember, this picture is from the 2014. It's not the one in the cycle of 2015. Those are more lush, more huge. They are bigger than these ones that you see here on the right side. That I was showing over there, how I lost 5% of those plants that were growing here, and these were the ones they got frost. Now they are not the ones that I have right now. Those are huge now. This bigger than this.
I think what I'm going to tell you, shouldn't be surprising. Can you give us some new pictures that come back next week?
Yeah, I can go and do a carpet of all the
things that we see.
You see,
and if you can do what I call quick call around among the peoples. You say there are a number of people in Latin America who are using the GANS technology for food and harvesting, to see if we see any anomalies in behavior, in food, in physical structure of the people, because you're consuming it. This was scaremongering we saw a lot of time with the Keshe Foundation, and with what you just stated, that's buried. There is no way, there is no room, because already in circulation, people are eating it, people are there. So we have to see a natural process, not a controlled process as it's done.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I didn't apply the materials, the GANS per se, but you say they already created in the ground by themselves. You know, when the only fact of trying the materials. But in my next ongoing experiments, instead of put only nano-coated wire, I put aside a regular wire that is not nano-coated, to see if that would create conditions for those areas too. I mean, doing those little additions in plants, like the one that he passed it right now. I did the around the little PVC pipe that I have with the GANS inside. I put some of them salt water with the reactor, like the same thing we do in the bottles when we do the CO2 capture. I put things like that in some plants to see what will happen. If the GANS will still be creators inside the hose, you know. I mean, the things like that, you know. It's a reactor for the plant already.
There's a question from Emmanuel about magnesium. It's useful for many plants. Have you tried to use magnesium GANS of any kind?
I was thinking in my next experiment, start working with magnesium and doing the bones burning, you know, to create the GANS, and then start feeding the plants with those kind of GANS. That will be more fertilizers, you know. But my idea was also not to inject.
Okay, I'm going to stop you. I'm going to stop you for one reason. Maybe we go for people to understand why you use magnesium. why we use chlorine, why we use sodium. Just look at the atomic structures of sodium and magnesium, and atomic structure of a chlor and aluminium, and then you'll find out that the same as we had with nitrogen, with the two sides of the carbon and oxygen in the upper atmosphere, in the Earth's physical structure, sodium, magnesium, and aluminium play the same kind of ratio. That's why when we have a heavier metal like iron, we create blood. But when we have the magnesium in the structure with the same sodium, we create chlorophyll.
Chlorophyll, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe adding to the knowledge shows how the creation of the life on this planet has divided itself. Amino acid as common ground, heavier elements in the metal bracket, gravitational magnetic field of the living things of the intellect, what we call the horizontal people, with the iron, and the ones which set in the magnesium spectrum. If you look, the ratio of the magnesium to sodium and aluminium is very much the same as what you call it, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen. Then this will explain how, in a way, the vegetables and what they call the verticals and horizontals have differed. We still use the same protein connection, but in one we use magnesium as a cover, in the other one we use iron as cover. Is the change, and that higher strength has given higher energy to the amino acid to create what they call the blood cycles, moving animals. In the one which is with a smaller strength, which a lesser gravitational magnetic mass, which is magnesium in the center of, is created the vertical people. If scientists understand the difference between these two, can we create vertical creations that will have the life of, and they'll change into horizontal people? It's a very big question mark. And can we have somebody in the intermediary between 20 and 60? Our carbon, magnesium ring sits around about 24, if I'm correct. And iron sits at 56. Is there interim somewhere here, a structure of life which we have missed? Or is it the white meat? Is it the fish life? This is part that we have to understand. Thank you very much, David, for your teaching.
Thank you.
You have enlightened us a lot. We'll see you next week.
Mr. Keshe, there is a question about structured water. If David could explain what he calls structured water. He told me, but I saw some questions in the screen.
The structured water, yes, explain please, and then we go on the other side.
All right, the structured water, that's a new idea that have come with Victor Schwaberger from Germany, where they use the vortex flow of the water. When the water goes through vortices, it changes the inside structure. Now, if we understand that in the moment that the reactor spins and throws away the outside particles, it's almost a centrifuging the thing, and all elements go to the outside. In that reactor, what we'll do, the GANS will stay in certain bands, you know. The structural water will do the same with the chemicals. It will throw them out to the water. at the atomic level. That's what they call a structure. In the water, instead to be in long chains of molecules, it will cut, make small structures to the process of the vortexes. That's the reason I came with the thing, if I put the reactor formation in the PVC pipe and run the water through them with the GANS, it's going to be a way of structuring and gansifying the water that will go and fertilize the ground. And that's my next device that I'm developing. I'm putting a different combination between GANS and not a regular GANS that we have, but GANS of different fertilizers that will be imbue the frequency in the water field, you know. But devices already exist in the market, and that they do this effect, you know, they structure the water, energize the water, and they really decontaminate the water to the process of the vortex. And that's one of the devices from a person from Arizona. His name is Clayton Nolte. He manufactured those devices, and I've been working with these devices in my lab too. This might be part also of some adding that I'm doing in the research. Now I want to see if the GANS, just doing the ping pong balls with those, will do an effect of also structuring water and energizing water in the process. You know, it's part of the experimental understanding that get have a different twist to what I'm doing, because I'm doing structural water research too, part of my work, you know. And I drink the water like structure, you know.
And do you see any difference in drinking?
I mean,
do you feel any different?
I mean, yes, you start feeling that you get more hydration. You get more energy. You get. I mean, I never.
Can I ask you, talking about a structured water with GANS? Are we talking about, or with the system you have?
I mean, with the system I'm using, I'm not this, but now that I'm proposing the idea of using the same idea with the starship formation and run water through them, and let that water go and irrigate the plants. That's a new twist of putting the GANS in.
No, what I was asking, you said you consume the structured water.
I mean, the water that I'm structuring, yeah, I drink through these devices that I'm using.
Yeah, but do they contain GANS or nanomaterials?
No, they don't contain. They have a patent technology inside, but they use similar to flow pieces. They will be similar to ping pong balls, but he has a patent on those, and I'm working, you know, in his technology in the research too, and that structure the water. But that devices that these are used in the market. There are a few people, you know, using these devices, and they see an effect in the water. Of changing, and also, you know, developing some growths in plants. I'm watching, you know, both things, you know, here, because that's my field was already set up with this device, growing there. And I'm trying to see, you know, observe exactly what is the effect with this device too, you know, and just separate fields, just using the GANS instead of use the water with this structure device that comes to my land.
Okay, thank you very much, because we have a time limit there and we're nearly 1 o'clock. We've got a couple of other people participating.
All right.
Could you please join us next week and enlighten us, and we learn?
Sure, I will give a report.
Without food there'll be no humanity. So you're the source of it, and you're teaching us how you feed.
I will give a report of the developing of what you saw the pictures, to see how they develop, and get a more focused photos of those, you know, and give you a better, you know, carpet.
Yeah, try to find out, as we discussed, the mood of people. How do they feel when they eat the food? This
right,
is important because we want to see now what is the consumption. What does it bring?
I didn't want to share the food to eat. It was food for research this time, you know, because I wanted to keep.
Yeah, but now you've done. You crossed the line. So.
Yeah, I treated to make some tamales, like we used to make tamales, you know, in tortillas. We have some tortillas a la Keshe, you know, the newest.
Nice having you. Thank you very much, Eddie. Thank you very much for the Mexican group. Thank you very much.